Trish Patrick, and I am going to spend some time with you today teaching you how to make infant baby moccasins. This is the wraparound style, and the sizing that this moccasin will fit is 0 to 3 months, maybe 4 to 5, depending on baby's foot size. So in your kits, you would have received a piece of sinew, a needle. This is a Glover needle. It's very sharp at the end, so be careful. And this part of the moccasin is the foot and the wraparound, and you have a vamp. So this is the toe part. So we're going to start by splitting our sinew into 2 pieces. So to do that, if you just move your sinew, you'll see that it'll automatically split. So it'll be, the first part will be done for you. And then you're just going to take your finger and move down the sinew to split it into 2. So there you have your 2 pieces, one for each side of the moccasin. Now we're going to thread the needle. And when we're tying a knot, we want a knot that is probably going to be big enough to go and stay through one of the holes. So this is the hole size. So normally I like to tie the knot and reinforce it 3 times. There we go. And in your email of your list of supplies that you need, you probably would have a pair of scissors on hand. Okay, so we're going to start by sewing the vamp on first. To do that, we're going to start from the inside. So you'll notice that there's a nice white side, and then there's a little rough side. So we're going to start on the rough side, the first hole. That's the bottom. So this one. We're going to pull that through. And then we're going to take our vamp and line it up with that first hole. So lining it up and tacking it on. So it should look like this. We're going to go through this first hole 3 times. That's just to reinforce it. And I like to do that in all sizes of moccasins that I make. So now we're just going to sew basic stitch all the way around the moccasin. So it should be looking like this, sewing all the way around. So about halfway through. Be careful because it does hurt if you prick yourself with these needles. And a few more holes. You'll notice that you'll have a few extra holes, so they're not going to line up. Looks like they don't line up, but in the beginning I mentioned that we like to reinforce at the start of the vamp and the finish, so that's what we're going to do. You'll have 2 extra holes, so you're just going to go through those holes and then reinforce. So you'll be going through the last hole, this last hole, let me see here, sorry, this last hole, you're going through that twice. And then when we tie off, we're always going to tie off on the inside. So what that looks like is we're going to go back through the top. And pull it over a little bit. Pull the flap over. And tie a knot on the inside. So this is the inside cuff. We're going to tie a knot. And maybe do a couple of knots just to make sure that it's secure. It's not going to fall apart when you put baby's foot in, or if baby has little chubby feet. Okay, and then we'll just cut that off. And there is your vamp. So now we're going to start the back. And to do that, you'll probably need to rethread some sinew. Because I do here. The nice thing about Glover needles is the eye is pretty big, so you shouldn't have difficulty threading this one versus a beading needle, if there's any beaders out there. Again, three times usually does it, 3 knots. Okay, cut the excess off. Okay, so to start the back, we're going to start by flipping and sewing on the rough side. So you'll notice that your holes aren't going to be even. They're not going to line up. You're going to have some excess here. That's totally okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the top hole, come in, and see, this is totally fine. I don't know if you can see it. And we're going to do a basic stitch all the way around and down. So again, top the first, anytime you're doing your initial starting of sewing and ending, we're going to go through a few times to reinforce. So 1, 2, I think it's only going to allow me to do 2 because these holes are small. So then we're just going to sew around. Sew it on this side. I'm going to take our needle, go through the next hole. Now these holes will line up with the other side. Just be very careful, don't rush this part, because if you miss a hole, you're going to have to take it all apart, go back through and start again. So Just be very patient in this part. Well, as well, you don't want to go too fast and end up pricking yourself with these needles. It might help if I do it this way. Okay, last hole. So now you're going to see that you have like a V shape. Just going to pull it out like this. And it's going to look like this. Let me see if I can get the camera so that you can see. Okay, so all you're going to do is you're going to sew a couple of stitches, and this part might be a little bit tricky, so I like to push my needle down and 2 stitches on each side of this is usually enough to sew this end. So this is the back of the heel part. Be careful, please. I can't stress enough that these needles do hurt. If you have little pliers, you may want to take a break and go find them, and those will come in very handy at this point. Okay, so now just sewn right across. Where are we here? And we're going to tie a knot in this part here. We'll only need a few knots just to reinforce. Okay, so cut that off. Okay, so now you're going to flip your moccasin inside, outside, in, and there you are. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so in your kits you would have had a piece of leather as well. So this is where the wraparound comes in. So that you'll have 2 holes at the back of the moccasin. You're just going to put the leather through. Inside out. It's always, 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 always inside out. If your hole is a little bit small, you're going to take your scissors, gently make the hole bigger at the back of the moccasin. Just a little bit bigger. You can even do a tiny little slit. Be very careful, you don't want to. Especially if you have this white leather, some of the kits have a brown leather. The brown leather, you may not have to do this because it's really soft deer, and it's enough just to put a little pencil through and to make our pen, the end of the pen, to make the hole bigger. And of course it's giving me a hard time. So plan B, we're just gonna use the end of our scissors trick. If we make it into a smaller point, so it looks like this. I think we have it. Okay, so here we are. We're just pulling the leather halfway through the back and around and back through this other little hole. Ear pliers may come in handy at this point too to help you guide the leather through. Okay, so your leather will look like this. I'm just going to move the camera away from the sun a bit. So that's what the back will look like. And you'll notice in the front you'll have two little holes, one on each side. You're going to bring the strap through and out that hole. Just going to make my hole a little bit bigger. And of course, it's going to give me trouble. So at this point, we're going to take time to remember and give thanks to the deer that gave up their life so that we could make these moccasins today. I know my brother hunts, and before he does that, he takes time to do a ceremony before he even goes out hunting. He gives thanks to the deer ahead of time for giving up their life so that we could make and have warm feet. So I just wanted to mention that I like to always give respect where it's due, and we're working with leather today, so it's the deer that's we're going to give respect to. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like in the end. That's what your middle is going to look like. And then you're going to wrap your moccasin around. You'll see two holes in the front. Each side is just going to come out those holes. And then you're going to wrap around. This is why it's called a wraparound style. And at the side, this is where you're gonna be wrapping this moccasin around baby's little foot and tying off on the side. this, there you have it. Your first pair, or maybe not, pair of baby moccasins. So thank you once again, and I'm going to be leaving my email contact with Nawasa. So if you're stuck in a certain part, or if you have any questions, you can send me an email and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thank you. Yeah.